Welcome back. We are going to continue our study of the integumentary system by looking at the appendages of the skin. So we're going to be talking about hair, nails, and glands. This is a great comic for you nail biters out there. So I like the little tooth modification. Yeah, it's not nice to do that to your nails. It really doesn't enjoy it. Okay, so let's start by talking about hair. We are mammals, therefore that means technically we are hair covered. And we do have hair pretty much everywhere on our body, with a few exceptions. It's just not very impressive hair anymore. We don't have that thick fur that other mammals have, but we are still hair covered. We have actually three different types of hair. We start with a fetal type of hair called lanugo. It is this very soft, downy hair that covers the fetus, and it's generally gone by the end of the pregnancy. However, if you have a premature birth, sometimes you can still see some of the lanugo on the fetus. So that's usually gone by birth. And it's replaced with what's called vellus hair on most of our body. So vellus hair is very fine, soft hair. So think about a baby. Even if a baby's born with hair on their head, it's still pretty soft. It's pretty fine. They don't really have like significant eyebrows, things like that. Because their whole body is covered in this vellus type of hair. Now, the vellus hair will continue on certain parts of the body, particularly in females. So a lot of females, their arm hair stays vellus. The hair on their trunk of their body stays vellus. The hair on their face stays this very soft, fine vellus type of hair. The third type is terminal. It's a coarser hair. The hair on your head, your eyebrows, are the first terminal types of hair you have. So a baby transitions as the hair begins to grow in. The hair transitions to more of a terminal type. Same thing with the eyebrows. Now, in a male, much of the body hair after puberty will transition to terminal hair. The leg hair, the arm hair, the hair that covers the trunk, the beard, everything will be this coarser, more terminal hair. So a few different types. When we look at the structure of the hair, we basically see a similar structure to the skin. So this is all your epidermal cells, and then this is the dermal papilla that is feeding these cells. So down here is where we have active growth in the hair, because that's where the blood supply is. And so we're going to be able to grow the hair from down here. And as it grows, just like these cells up here, the farther you get away from the blood, they begin to die. So we have a few things that are associated with hairs. Two of the gland types that we're going to talk about, apocrine sweat glands, are attached to hair follicles, and sebaceous glands are attached to hair follicles. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. We also have a muscle, the erector pilli or piloerector, just depends on what book you're looking at, that is going to be associated with each and every hair follicle. This is the muscle that makes your hair stand on end. So this is a ancient reflex. When you are frightened or you're cold, your hair will stand on end because this muscle will begin to contract. And it's designed, if you're in a life or death situation, to puff all your fur, which is not very impressive now because we don't have fur, but all your hair stands out and it's supposed to make you look bigger. This is very apparent if you watch like a cat that's cornered somewhere. It puffs all its hair out, and hisses at you. That's that reflex. When you're cold, by puffing your fur out, you allow your heat to circulate around your body easier. Now, again, this is pretty much a vestigial reflex in us at this point because we don't have a lot of fur for this to work in either way, but we still have the reflex. So now let's talk about the different pigments and textures of hair. So there's two different types of pigments. You've got what's called eumelanin and pheomelanin that are going to deal with hair. Blonde hair tends to be primarily pheomelanin, whereas darker hair tends to be primarily eumelanin. Red hair tends to be more pheomelanin than eumelanin, but there's a little bit more of this eumelanin than we would see over here in blonde. And then gray or white hair is lacking both of these pigments, and the medulla is basically filled with air bubbles, and that gives the lack of pigment. So you've got two different pigments that give us the different colors of hair we have. And then the texture of the hair, the more round the hair is in cross-section, the straighter it is. The more flat, like a ribbon, the curlier it will be. So you put those together and you can see the different textures and colors of hair. Nails are an appendage here. We're not really going to get into this too much, but nails are sort of claw-like. Flat nails are specific to primates, and they allow us to have more sensitive fingertips because we use our fingertips for a great deal of sensation. The nails allow us to have some more sensation there and protection on the fingertips. Last thing to talk about are glands. So we find several different gland types associated with the skin. So we're going to look at them in cross-section here histologically, and then we'll talk about them in a second. So the first and simplest is going to be just a merocrine sweat gland. So it's a kind of knotted up tubular gland that has a duct that goes up to the surface of the skin, and its job is to thermoregulate. Looks like these guys. An apocrine sweat gland has a similar structure, but the duct leads into a hair follicle. And then the third would be a sebaceous gland that has a very different structure than these guys, and is also going to be attached to a hair follicle. So there's your merocrine, apocrine, and sebaceous. So let's talk about the sweat glands first. The simple one is a merocrine, which is also sometimes termed eccrine, that is joined to release sweat. So the release is merocrine type of secretion, which remember is exocytosis. Sweat is a waste product and is designed to help cool your body while getting rid of some salts and things like that. Now, apocrine, this is unfortunately named. Apocrine glands do not use Our apocrine sweat glands do not use apocrine modes of secretion. They use a merocrine mode of secretion. So this is still exocytosis of the sweat. Here, the sweat is going to go into a hair follicle, and these are only found in the axillary and genital regions. So these only really turn on after puberty. You know, when you have a little kid, you don't have to bathe that thing every day, okay? You know, you can give them a bath like 3 times a week. They're good. They don't smell bad. But after puberty, you got to start showering more often because of the apocrine sweat glands that turn on. So what happens is these fatty substances and proteins that are exocytosed end up getting broken down by the bacteria that live on our skin, and it creates the body odor that we are accustomed to having after puberty. Ceruminous glands are modified apocrine types of glands. So that means, remember, that the apical surface is going to pinch off, okay? They are only found in the ear canal. The secretions are going to mix with oil that's going to come from sebaceous glands, and it's going to form what's called cerumen or earwax. Earwax is actually a good thing for us. We'll talk about it later on, but it's waterproofing your ear canal, keeping your eardrum from becoming dry and brittle, things like that. And then the last one is a mammary. So this is a modified apocrine that is going to secrete milk. These we find everywhere, basically, in our skin. There's nowhere that doesn't have these. Apocrine sweat glands are going to be found in the axillary and genital regions. Ceruminous are only in the ear canal, and mammary are in the breast tissue. The last one is a sebaceous gland. This one is a holocrine type. So remember, the whole cell is going to be secreted. It's attached to hair follicles, and it secretes sebum or oil. Hair is brittle and it is dead once it comes through the surface of your skin. So this oil is designed to make sure that the hair stays supple and that it doesn't just break off when it comes through the skin there. So every single hair follicle we also have a sebaceous gland attached to it.